Howdy partners, this is Tim Cant here for Loop Masters, and this time we're going to make some country trap beats with Rankin Audio, country trap and cowboy beats. So, you bend over and get your cowboy boots on, and I'll take you up the Old Town Road. Let's do this. Country trap and cowboy beats is a primarily loop-based library, so I started by slinging a few loops together. Specifically, a Red Dead drum loop 140, Red Dead banjo hook 1 in G minor 140, and a Red Dead 808 1 in G minor 140. Clearly, all these loops have been created in construction kit fashion, meaning they've been designed to work together, and they do sound great. However, I wanted more control over the mix than I would have had using loops, so I decided to recreate the drum and bass elements. I used one-shot samples from Country Trap and Cowboy Beats drum folder, starting with Gunslinger Kick and placing copies of this on the audio track following the kick in the original loop. I did the same thing with the clap and the snare, using banger clap and cowboy chop snare respectively. Next came a hat in the form of Tight Hat 2. I used MIDI to sequence this part because hi-hat parts can be more complex than kick, snare or clap parts. I turned on my DAW's snap to triplets mode so that I could copy the triplet roll in the original loop, and this took a little bit of trial and error to get right. To give the clap a bit more of a vibe, I used FabFilter Pro R to add reverb. This wasn't anything too fancy, just a tweaked default preset. The original beat loop also had a triplet percussion sound in there. I didn't copy this exactly, I just used Red Dead tight clap to create my own triplet feel, with the amplitude envelope sustain and decay turned down in the sample I played it back with to tighten it up. To recreate the bassline, I used an 808 sub patch I'd previously created in Serum. This is a very simple sound, it's just a single sine oscillator with a high sustain and long decay amplitude envelope, and another envelope modulating the A coarse pitch value in the matrix. It's this quick pitch drop at the start of the sound that gives it its percussive feel. I set the synth to mono mode to avoid overlapping bass notes and programmed in a recreation of the original bass loop. What's important to note here is that the bass plays every time the kick plays, so really the sub and the kick are a composite sound. I wanted them to sit together smoothly in the mix, so I grouped them together and used Ableton Live's glue compressor to compress the composite signal. It's important not to have the attack time too quick on this or you'll lose the transient punch, and in this case I just turned down the threshold to taste, then turned the makeup up to return the signal to about its original perceived volume level. I wanted to bring out the atmospheric quality of the banjo loop, so I added another glue compressor, added some reverb with Pro R, and finally used the excellent and free isotope vinyl to give the part a lo-fi feel by setting the year knob to 1960. To create a mini arrangement, I started with the banjo loop soloed along with the hat part and put lo-fi spaghetti outdoors VHS texture underneath it. The sample didn't last long enough to fill the 8 bars, so I simply pitched it down to make it longer, using a fade at the end so that it faded out before the drop hit. In terms of effects, I used Yeehaw Riser to lead up to the drop and emphasise the end of each 16-bar section, and I also added White Noise Downer to accent the start of each 8-bar section. The final touch was Isotope Ozone Maximizer on the master. Well, the horses are safely in the back and it's time to return to the homestead. If you'd like to ride with Loop Masters again, then why not hit that subscribe button and tap that little bell. You all come back now.